Hello and welcome to the 104th episode of Get Out of Rap TV, August the 26th. I hope you had a lovely bank holiday. As usual, this show, I couldn't do it or most of my other work without the support of my partners. Here they are. Let's start with Quetzal. If you want to turn your technology strategy into reality, these are the guys to speak to. Alvaria, who are leading the way in outbound, proactive customer engagement, which is the future. Better Outsourcing, proudly a UK-based outsourcer in Glasgow and Sunderland. Amazing sales team. The Forum, we all love the Forum, the number one learning organisation in the UK, and they're back, Sabio. And I will mention something, my first bit of work I've done with them. Danny is here. Good morning, Danny. Maybe you can help me, Danny, straight away. I had a problem with my microphone this morning, so I'm just checking you can hear me. Can you confirm? Otherwise, this will be, I'll have to use interpretive dance or mime to get through the show. But can you just confirm it's coming through loud and clear at your end? Darren is here. Darren Gracie, good morning, my friend. How are you? Do let me know if you can hear me. Otherwise, all bets are off. I'll just go and walk Hugo. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Can you hear me? And then we can get going. Good morning, all. It's been a while. Lewis is here. Yes, we can. And yes, you should dance. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much, Danny and Darren. Lewis, congratulations are in order for you. I saw your life news and your LinkedIn posts. So all the best from everyone here. It's great to see. And of course, Lewis with Wednesday Wisdom. Right. Let's get to know each other a little better, shall we? What is a TV show you have watched over and over again? Me and my lovely wife, Bev, we are currently re-going through Handmaid's Tale, which we love, and we're already getting to that point now where it's getting close to the end. So we're thinking of something else to watch. But what is a TV show you have watched over and over again, and each time you still enjoy it being on? Now, is this am I letting you know a little bit into my psyche here, where I will just watch favorite TV shows over and over again? Band of Brothers is another one for me. If I'm stuck for something to watch, I will put that back on, even though I must have seen it 20 times. There's a few others as well. But what about for you guys? What is a TV show you have watched over and over again? Or maybe you haven't. Maybe you just go, I watch it once. Still game, says Danny Wareham. Having a Scottish partner, this was like my Rosetta Stone to understand her family. Oh, Catherine, Elias is here. Game of Thrones. Yeah, I agree. That's another one of mine. That's our next one, I think. Darren Gracie says, over recent years, it's been Stranger Things. Oh, these are all good. These are all very good suggestions. So far, I haven't had one. I'm not sure about Still Game though, Danny. I mean, that is commitment. The Rosetta Stone to understand her family is brilliant. Oh, Lewis, what a classic. Only Fools and Horses. Absolutely. What a classic that is. I think we can all remember certain scenes or lines from that one, can't we? Love it. Do keep these coming, but let's crack on now with, and I thought for today's question, we don't necessarily need to just think about LinkedIn here, but that we will probably end up thinking about LinkedIn. But what is a topic that isn't talked about enough in contact centers /CX, customer experience? The West Wing, says Morris Pentel. Oh, yeah, I do like the West Wing. And Mitchell and Webb. Morris, good to see you as well, my friend. The West Wing got me through my first year in Turkey. I had all the CDs. Morris Pentel's great choices, says Danny Wareham. Yeah, the West Wing. when politics was a bit more normal, but still very interesting. So, when you are reading about or seeing newsletters or on LinkedIn or going to events, what is a topic that isn't talked about enough, in your opinion? What are I don't want to mention a two-letter abbreviation of something that we are all talking about. It is exciting. It is interesting. But I often wonder, because it's dominating the space, are there things that we are missing out talking about and that we should? So this is my question for the show today. Keep your TV shows coming, because this is great. But going back to, Rachel. Hey, Rachel, how you doing? Rachel Schaefer, leadership. What a great answer. What a great answer. So Rachel's kicked us off with a topic that isn't talked about enough in contact centers and CX. And that is, Rachel started with leadership. It's quite hard, don't you find now, to find info about that? We are all talking about other things. Leadership is a great one to kick us off, Rachel. And it's been a while since we've seen you. It's good to see you again. I hope all is well. Danny Wareham says, period poverty, mental fitness, not health, and financial well-being. Wow. Danny, we can always rely on you to give us some insightful commentary here. Culture, proper culture, of course. Well, if there's anyone to talk about proper culture, Danny, that's you. But I really find those interesting. Your other ones, period poverty, mental fitness, not health, and financial well-being. Just help us understand a little bit more why mental fitness rather than mental health. Why do you prefer that term to mental health? Maurice Pentel says there is a gap between what we note about CX and how we discuss them in the teams. That should be explored. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I think we sometimes think our teams either don't understand, wouldn't understand it mistakenly, I would add. But I think we sometimes think we will talk about leadership to our peers and on LinkedIn and things like that, but we don't talk about it to our teams. Sorry, CX, not leadership. Very, very good point. I once spent some time talking to my team, explaining to them that they were in the CX industry and they hadn't heard of that phrase, let alone understood what it meant. Darren Gracie said, instead of what ifs and hypothetical user cases, we don't see enough real world examples of success. Very, very true. I think as well, that is why organizations like the Forum, of course, one of my partners, but the CCMA, the UK CCF, those, when they share best practice and when you can go and see contact centers, and it's for that very reason, Darren, isn't it, that those events or visits are interesting, because you see it in reality instead of what ifs and hypothetical user cases. We do not see enough real world examples of success. Rachel, we missed you too. Spot on, Danny, says Rachel. Some really, really great points here. This is one of the reasons why I'm spending a lot more time in the team leader community as opposed to LinkedIn, because it's the real world. It's where people are at. Okay, Danny's got the explanation. Mental health tends to focus on deficit. What's wrong with me, in parentheses. The discussions then cover things like stress, trauma, low mood, energy, etc. Mental fitness is about being at your best, including recognizing that lows are part of that journey. How do we improve contentment, confidence, and joy? Very, very lovely description, Danny. Couldn't agree more as well. especially this bit that lows are part of that journey. How do we improve contentment, confidence, and joy? If you could let us all know, that would be great. That would be great. Keep these answers coming. Perhaps, we can, through this is all good information for me as well, in that perhaps we spend a bit more time talking about some of these than we do other areas. And sorry, I should have said at the outset, if your comments are not showing, I'm not ignoring you. Please just refresh LinkedIn. But yes, these comments are great. We should definitely, so culture, mental fitness, leadership, the gap between how we talk about CX and then the reality in the teams, real life user cases. Oh, and welcome, Spencer. And good use of engaging full caps lock here because it's very important. Vulnerabilities. You are leading the charge on that, Spencer, but there's a lot more that could be talked about, isn't there? If we're talking about just LinkedIn as well, I'm pretty sure that the algorithm doesn't help. You spend any length of time on one topic, and then that's what you see. One topic or one person, that's what you see. I do think that is something that needs to be improved so you can get this widespread that, of course, includes vulnerabilities. I've definitely been educated through your posts. They're very, very valuable. They're very worthwhile. Now, I know it's very frustrating for you because you feel, rightly so, that it isn't talked about enough. Morris Pentel says, Danny Warren brilliantly said. Tracy Newton, good morning. And please say hello to Rowan for me as well. Morris, this one's come through a little bit late, hasn't it? Dance, please. I think some of you have seen my dancing if you've followed me for a few years. It's not something that you'd want to see again. Right, okay. So what is a topic that isn't talked about enough in contact centers CX? Please do add your answers in the comments and I will come back to them. I mentioned something I'd done with Sabio, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, the latest version of the Get Out of Rap podcast is out. Look at my shiny head. It is with Kevin McGatchy, who is the head of AI solutions at Sabio. And it was a real good episode. I found it so insightful because Kevin very gently, because I was the audience, I guess, explained what agentic AI is. What's the hype, what's real, and what's next. And also explain the difference between generative AI and agentic AI. And it's Darren Gracie, to your point, you'll like this if you haven't listened to the episode, real life examples of its use in contact centers. So that's the latest episode, episode 231. It's out now on all platforms. Of course, you can go to getoutofrap.com and it is also on YouTube. But if you want to get a lovely summary of agentic AI, where it's at right now, how it came about, and where it's going next, then Kevin, whose whole background was contact centers before moving into tech, gives a really good description of it. It's fascinating stuff. Let me just pick up on this comment, Morris. Yes, the algorithms are harmful, and we don't talk about that either. Certainly, as a self-employed person, that the only channel I really use is LinkedIn. Their recent changes have not helped at all. Where if you read about what they've changed, they are focusing on relevancy rather than recency, which is why we're seeing posts from 2-3 weeks ago. I don't think that's achieved what they were hoping to do, because a lot of people post about things that are happening. It might be events, and you are 2 to 3 weeks out of date. It certainly doesn't help with sharing what you are up to from a self-employed point of view. And of course, yes, the earlier point is true, Morris, isn't it? The algorithms can be harmful, and we don't talk about that either. You can, of course, change your feed. So instead of, if you go to the top right, instead of top and you just put recent, it will give you every post. But again, that isn't ideal. I don't know why they just didn't. I don't know why they changed it. It's normally a sign that other changes are coming. Spencer says generative AI mirrors humanity, but unchecked. It amplifies our worst biases. Confronting this is not optional, it is essential for building technology we can trust. I agree, Spencer. Do have a listen to Kevin's podcast. I think you'll find it interesting. Or watch it on YouTube with the captions are on. LI seems to be focusing on paid content. That's very true. The volume of suggested and sponsored items in my feed has definitely increased. Yes, we're only one step away, Danny, aren't we, from trying to read a news article on your phone when it's hard to find the actual article because of all the pop-ups and the adverts. It's a real challenge. It does make me wonder if at some point there is going to be an alternative, perhaps more networking, perhaps more getting together. It will push us into more face to face because it is a challenge at the moment. And I'm conscious that I'm delivering this on LinkedIn, but I'm certainly finding it a challenge to maintain my positivity about my feed. Okay, with that said, it's time for we are going through Contact Babel, written by the awesome Steve Morel, the UK Decision Makers Guide for 2025. And I'm sure you'll find this interesting. And perhaps, of course, knowing you guys, you're going to nod your head and say, I see, I told you so. But have a look at this. This is the latest inbound interactions by channel. Yes, Danny. VT. So, what are the latest? If you remember, this guide is as a result of over 400 people like ourselves who run contact centers sharing with the report what they are up to. So, for example, this was tell us about your inbound interactions by channels. You can see that still by far 64.1% of inbound interactions are through the voice channel going through to a live agent. The next highest, email, 19.8, web chat, social media, which has never really taken off, has it? It's never quite worked, and I think that's because it is uncontrollable. SMS messaging, WhatsApp messaging, I expected that to improve from, or increase rather, from last year, but you can see it's still only just above letters, with WhatsApp at 1.8 and letters at 1.2. So if we are expecting a massive change because of the advent of AI, it is yet to be seen. And maybe there's a lag, and maybe we're heading for some more aggressive change and quick change. But these stats have remained pretty static, certainly over the time of doing this show and going through the report. Telephone Live Agent is by far the most popular channel. Well, I say popular, it's the one that's used the most, right? Spencer says, is LinkedIn nudging people towards Blue Sky? Perhaps, and I am on Blue Sky. It's still very US centric, Spencer, I find, don't you? And perhaps, we can change that by being more active on it. I do find Blue Sky refreshing rather than X that I came off over a year ago now. It was far too toxic. So what do we think of this? Is this a surprise? Are we surprised to see that the channel that has the most volume is still significantly telephone live agent? Do you think this is going to change anytime soon? Do we feel that social media is used more as a public complaint channel? If service on other channels is slow, social media can be used to damage reputation and force companies into responding. Yes, and we see that on LinkedIn, don't we? Pretty much every day or every other day, someone is asking for a contact or sharing a poor customer experience and asking for some assistance. I think anytime anyone goes public, what a damning indictment of your customer journey. Morris says the front line is an almost infinite source of insight, and we can use customer surveys instead of engaging colleagues. This should be talked about every morning until companies stop ignoring it. Yes. Spencer says, does the 64% apply to everyone, including those with disabilities? I do not know the answer to that, Spencer. Again, it's a really good consideration and one I'm happy to take up with Steve Morel. Perhaps you want to do it as well. You are far more eloquent advocate than me, but I think it's a really, really important point. And I'm sure there's more detailed data behind this that might shed some light on that. Now then, if we look at email, web chat, and social media, these are the contacts that require the use of another channel to be answered fully. So if you are in one of these channels, your customers rather, to what extent can they handle everything within that channel? And you can see that within web chat, 52% of customer interactions, less than 10% require jumping into another channel to have their contact answered fully. Social media, far, far lower at 26%, and email, surprisingly, at 49%. So that means if you have a look at that, in more than 50% of customer contacts, 13% of those interactions require the use of another channel to be answered fully. And we know, don't we, that customers find that extremely frustrating, that they have to move channels, that they might be responding on email and then told we need to speak to you, or they might be in web chat and told to send an email or make a call. I'm less surprised at social media. I don't think you can expect to resolve everything on what is essentially a public channel, but very, very interesting indeed. And then finally, let's have a look at this. This, I'm sure, will surprise you the same way it surprised me. So this covers a period from 2015 to the end of 2024. And this is the level of automation used in email management, with the green being entirely by automation without any checking or editing by the agent. Light green, automated responses suggested and checked or edited by the agent. Yellow is answered manually by agents using editable templates. And then red is answered manually by agents using a blank email. And you can see that there is really little change, or maybe whilst there has been change, it is not as significant as you'd expect. From 2015 to 2024, in 2015, 57% of all emails were answered manually by agents using a blank email. And that is in 2024, 41%. And maybe that's a good thing, that there is still personalization, but with that personalization, you can get a wide variance, can't you, on the level of service that you receive as a customer. But again, much like the channel, there seems to be little change. And for all the talk of our world changing massively in the next year or so, you do wonder whether, if we were looking at this again next year, would it still be the same? If we're looking at the split of channels, is voice still going to be the predominant channel? Are we 30 years ago, says Danny Ware, my team were answering letters with templates and predefined paragraphs, which were then edited for each customer. It seems 30 years of tech improvements hasn't changed that. And that is exactly my point. Spot on, Danny. There has been, and you only need to listen to the podcast with Kevin, it's super interesting. There's loads of great stuff going on. But when it comes down to the service that we are offering and how we interact with customers across our industry, regardless of vertical, not much has changed. Kind of reassuring, I guess, but also it, maybe a reminder to not buy into, or at least have some caution when people are talking about a completely AI driven customer experience world with no contact centers and no people and no voice and no emails. It seems unlikely given what we're looking at here. Maybe certainly the speed of what we're looking at. Now, finally, just before we go, I'd love, you don't necessarily need to comment right now, but I would love to know what you would like to see in the show. Do you want some more polls? Do you want some more interaction? Do you want more people here? Would you prefer this to intermittently be a discussion where you can have up to 10 people on this? That might be a bit too busy. But I would love to get your input on how we can evolve our little get-togethers. What would you like to see? You don't, like I say, you don't necessarily have to put it in the comments now, but please do share with me some of your suggestions on how we can keep this relevant, how we can keep it interesting, and what else we can do. I think any of us that have worked in operations love a start, stop, continue. What would you like to see started? What should I stop? And what should I continue? Spencer says, how quick is the response on email, social media, or web chat when all you want is a real person? It is extremely frustrating that companies prioritize bots over humans to save time and cut costs. And how does this approach account for vulnerable users? I'm not sure who it was, but I did see something the other day that said some vulnerable customers prefer web chat. They find it easier to share where they're at rather than over the voice, which I can understand. So it definitely has some benefits. I don't think we've fully got there yet. You will 100% agree with that, Spencer. Morris says, I think you guys might be wrong about the speed of change and what the change will be. I think that more automation that helps the agent is now becoming standard as a configurable product, so it will be common over the next 18 months. I'd welcome that, Morris. Absolutely. Anything that helps our customer-facing frontline colleagues in our industry, I'm all for. I'd love to see more automation that makes things easier. Danny says, discussions are good. I'd love to see team leaders from the community talking through their world and how it ties back to the high-level insight from the read-along. Oh, yeah, that would be lovely. That would be lovely. And Rachel says, everything you said. I've got some work to do. Thank you all very much. Welcome back after the bank holiday, certainly here in the UK. A shorter week, which normally means trying to do 5 days work in 4. Morris says, "Be careful what you wish for." Very, very true. Thank you all for joining me. I do appreciate it, and I will get to work on seeing how we can jazz it up a little bit and start to move without losing the things that we love from this show. And from my point of view, it is an opportunity to see your happy faces and hear your amazing insight. It is a real shot in the arm for the motivation of this industry. You guys are make it what it is. So I love doing this. It is a highlight of my week. It's good to see you again. Will I be doing this next week? Yes, I think I will. So the 2nd of September will be the next one. Make a little note in your diary. It'd be great to see you all again. But for now, goodbye. Have a lovely rest of the day and rest of the week.